and thanks for checking out my video. This video is one that I wanted to share and show how I do inductive Bible studies. Inductive Bible studies can seem to be very in-depth and can be confusing to some if you're not familiar with it or if you've never done it before. So I decided to go ahead and record a time when I sat down and I actually studied the Word. This video, if I had just played it in real time, would have been over an hour because sometimes when I study the Word, it takes some time to do so. So I went ahead and sped this up for your benefit so you don't have to sit and watch for a full hour of me doing an inductive study. Right now, what you've been observing and watching is that I am going through the scriptures and I am coloring in with a yellow pen any person that has been mentioned. I'm even coloring in some of the pronouns. So, for example, I am coloring in specifically Jesus is the one I'm looking for because Jesus is the main person of this passage and, of course, of this book, in the book of Mark. So with Jesus, I'm coloring in his name, then I underline it and I put a cross next to it. So anywhere that it mentions Jesus, I am making those notations. And I am doing that even when it says he went or, or his disciples, to make sure that I understand that that is all referring back to Jesus. So that's what I just completed. And now I'm going through and I am looking for places, anything that mentioned a place. So for instance, I started with the synagogue and I underlined it twice. And now I'm going through and underlining Jerusalem, Judea, and Judah, and marking those specific places so that I know that this is a reference of a certain area or a region. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to be highlighting or notating of my choosing. And this is where it gets confusing and some people kind of just go, I don't know what to do at this point. Because identifying people and places is one thing, but unable to finding the rest of the words and some of the markings. So for instance, you can see that on my Bible that the Sabbath is marked up in blue. And the Sabbath was a time frame, so I wanted to make sure I highlighted that for myself because that was a big deal during this part of the passage with the Pharisees and whatnot. You can go listen to my podcast on the video that I did for those interpretations. But that's not what I'm here for right now. I just wanted to show you how I got to all those conclusions. But what I'm really doing now is I'm going through and I am making marks. So I'm finding an identification mark like a heart or a box or a circle of some kind. So that way I can identify these specific words as repetitive words or words that I see that are important. You can even see where I've marked up the word preach and authority with like a megaphone. And then I colored it in, I believe, with green. So that is just to kind of give me an idea. So when I look at the Bible and I'm looking at a passage that I'm studying, and I can quickly identify what is going on and what are the importance of what's going on. So once I've completed that, I'll make my notations on the side and I'll break the verses up into sections so that way I know this section is, for instance, verses 1 through 6 is about the man with the withering hand. And then verses 7 through 12, focusing on the great crowd that followed Jesus, and then so on and so forth. So now that I've made all the notations within my Bible, I'm going back and answering the questions, the 5 questions that are important: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Actually, that's 6 questions, but the 5 W's and the H. And now that I've gone through my Bible and I've already marked it up, like for instance with all the people, it's very easy and quickly can identify who. So you can see right now I am writing out, all the who's, Jesus, the man with the withering hand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then I can go back and then answer the question of when, which you see that I'm doing now, which was easy to do because I've already underlined and made notations of that time frame. So I can say this happened on the Sabbath. But if there's no other indications, then I can identify that it can carry on from the previous chapters of the book, which Mark kind of ran all together. So the next question I answer is where. So once again, there's the benefit of I write down where did this take place? Where did this happen? And or in this passage, it was, where did everybody come from? And I'm identifying and showing myself and just kind of pointing out my finger here on the map of where all these places are because it was showing the vast region that everyone was coming from. So now that I've completed that, I'm moving on to the answering the what. And answering the what is what's going on in this passage. And so that's the time where you just kind of sit back, take your thoughts in, look at your notes that you've identified, the repetitive words, and you could start writing out and seeing this is the event that's taking place. In this example, we had the man with the withering hand. We had the crowd that followed Jesus that made him go into a boat. And then Jesus identifying his 12 disciples or apostles, whichever you prefer. And I'm able to write all of that out. But I wouldn't have been able to do all that and to identify further details if I hadn't even put out the sections that you saw that I wrote on the side of my Bible. Because now I can quickly look at the side of my Bible and go, oh, this is that story. And that's that story. And I like to write everything out. For some reason, I have this thing, and it's been, I guess, I don't want to say scientifically proven, but it's been known that when you write something down with pen and paper, you commit it to memory a lot better, and you can remember the things. So it just makes it that much more easier to think about what is going on, and I've written it out so I can remember. And I actually not just remember, but you're summarizing in your own words of what is going on, which also helps you to commit to memory of what's going on. So that's kind of what I'm doing at this point. And so you got to bear with it because it's a lot, because that was a lot going on in that scripture. But inductive studies is meant to help you to break down the verses and to help you identify what it is that's going on and how we to interpret the scripture verses correctly. Because many times people can take a scripture verse and make it something that it's not, and that is what we're not supposed to do. So doing an inductive Bible study is what helps you to stay on track of making sure that you're not becoming what I call a granola Christian if you're a Christian, which means that you just make anything up and you decide to do whatever you want to do. That's not what we're supposed to do. So now that you see that I completed answering the what question, I'm answering why. Like, why is this story being told? Or why is this happening? Or why is whatever? Just ask those questions. You can say why, and then go interpreting from this and start asking, you see something, go, well, why and why? And then as you saw, I finished up with how is this all being said and done and how all it's happening. From this point on, I have decided to move on to another Bible that I have. This is my Bible part 2. So the first Bible that you saw, I utilize that as my inductive study Bible. That is the Bible that I use and I have all the markings in. This particular Bible is an illuminated Bible, which I absolutely love and adore because it has scripture verses on one side and then it has a clear page on the other side. As you can see, I've already had made some previous notes before I decided I was going to go ahead and record this. And there was actually notes that I had done previous to the study that I already notated. So I'm just kind of going back and adding more into that. And this is the Bible where I make all my highlights, or I don't really highlight this one, but I'd as you saw, I made a box, arrows and lines, and I will identify things that maybe stand out to me. And I may even go and ask myself the question like, well, what's this? So that way I can go and look for commentaries, which I'll show you in a minute, of being able to make sure I am understanding what is really going on. So actually what I am doing, and that you can't see on the screen at the moment, is I do have a commentary off to the side that I am reading off of, and then I am making some notes within my Bible. Or actually, even though it is a Bible, it's also a journal for me. So I can pull in together all of what is taking place. So having a good commentary, and I believe I show it to you on this video. If not, I do have another one that is in the process that I will show you that one. But I do use a couple of commentaries. The first one I use is the Moody commentary. Those are done by some theologians and some scholars from the Moody University. The other one that I liked to refer to is I have a New Living Translation study Bible that has commentary in the bottom, and I'll use that as well. The other source I like to utilize is I use an app, but I believe it's also a website of enduring the word, and where they've broken down verse by verse of what is going on and made some notes. And then I'll utilize, now that you see, I'm actually using my Blue Light Bible, and I'm looking up actual Greek words, which is really good to do because sometimes you'll say, well, there's this word, I know what it means, but what does it really mean? And so now I'm showing you what the word I looked up and the Greek meaning and the other descriptions of what that interpretation is. And of course, you can see as I'm writing now, the word that I looked up was save. And I notate the Greek so that way I'm notating for myself that this is a book or a word that I looked up in the Blue Light Bible, and I found the Greek meaning of the word, and I'm writing it out. So now I'm going back to my Blue Light Bible, and I am looking up the word to kill. And actually, that what the Blue Light Bible does is it gives you the scripture verse and the verse by verse. You click on that verse, and I'm using my iPad to do this, as it just makes it that much simple. There is a the Strong's Concordance. You can go and look up these Greek and Hebrew words, but I like it on the iPad because it's not as big and bulky. Because that book is thick; it's very thick. Anyway, so I just do it on my iPad, and then I just write those words because I wanted to know what does saved really mean and what does to kill really mean in this passage, because we all know what killing means. But do we really understand what that means in the context of the scripture that Jesus was using, because it was done in a parable? So even though it just seems like it's a long process, it kind of is. And that's why I said this video would be over an hour if I actually sat down and showed you in real time and didn't speed this up for you. But I'm just going through and making all these notations because I want to break them all down. Again, there's things I've thought about. There's things that came into mind, and bringing in connection with the commentary of understanding. It's bringing more understanding, and that's what the whole goal of trying to read the Bible is to get an understanding of what is being said. And once we understand what is being said, then we can ask the questions of what it all, we're asking what it all means, but what does it all mean to me? And we can't get to that point of what we call the application, because inductive Bible study, you have your observation, which is still what I'm doing throughout this video. And so when I complete the observation, then I can move into interpretation and finding out what the scripture actually means. And then I can start working and praying and asking the Lord to show me how to apply it to my life. I hope this video has helped you get an understanding of what it's like to do an inductive Bible study. It's really not that complicated or difficult once you get used to it. You just got to find a way that fits for you and make it your own, and so that you will be able to enjoy it and be able to come back to the word again. Thanks for watching. So if this was beneficial to you, please leave a comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching.